The news from Guyana, the region and the world. Compiled in the News Talk Radio newsroom and powered by DemeraraWaves.com.
News at 6 comes to you with the compliments of Kentucky Fried Chicken, the KFC. With the news at this time, I'm Dennis Chabrol. Good evening. First, the highlights. 2 men have been extradited to the United States to face trial for sex crimes they allegedly committed there. GCOM will next week begin registering persons who have never done so before and update the records of others. Regionally, the Bahamian police are going after printeries that are forging COVID vaccine cards. And we get the latest from the BBC World Service on the battle between Russia and Ukraine. The details coming up.
Is it a special occasion? Are you on a budget but still want a filling and also mouth-watering meal? Look no further. KFC is here for you at 9 locations and 6 drive-thrus, including the Amazonia Mall at Providence, which now delivers from Shore Base to Little Diamond. Call 632-0533, 608-0162, or 503-3591. KFC.
It's finger-licking good.
And now the news in detail. The United States says 2 Guyanese have been extradited to that North American country to face the court on sexual offense and other charges. The embassy here says on February 25, fugitives Julian Yip and Kareem Hack were extradited from Guyana to the U.S. to face charges on separate sexual offenses. The embassy says the 2 fugitives were located, tracked, and arrested through a joint endeavor. The participating agencies were the U.S. Embassy, Ministry of Home Affairs, Director of Public Prosecutions, Guyana Police Force, the U.S. Department of Justice, United States Marshal Service, and the Diplomatic Security Service. The embassy says Yip, a Guyanese national, will face charges in Pennsylvania for rape, involuntary deviant sexual intercourse, and sexual assault committed in 2017. Hack, a United States citizen, is facing charges in Florida for sexual battery, procuring a person under 18 for prostitution, and attempt to commit sexual battery committed in 2006. Hack was previously featured on America's Most Wanted in October 2008. In August 2021, the United States government made a formal request for the extradition of Hack and Yip, and they were arrested and placed before the courts in early February 2022. The 2 did not contest the charges and were subsequently extradited. This is the 4th extradition of U.S. fugitives from Guyana to the U.S. in the last 25 years. The U.S. says the extradition of the 2 fugitives strengthens the rule of law in Guyana and reflects the strong professional law enforcement and judicial cooperation between the United States and the Guyana government. The leader of the People's National Congress Reform, PNCR, Aubrey Norton, says that his party has no ties to Chinese businessman Zhu Zirong.
There is no evidence that the People's National Congress Reform is close to Mr. Su. I don't doubt there might be individuals who are in the party or were in the party that are close to Mr. Su. But the party as an institution, as far as I know, absolutely no relationship with Mr. Su. And surely, since I've been here, the first time I really heard of Mr. Su is with the Vibes media disclosure.
His denial comes in the wake of claims by Government Minister Charles Ramsden that Mr. Su has links to the PNCR as well. Vice President Barry Jagdeo has denied taking bribes from Chinese infrastructure companies, with Mr. Su serving as a middleman. Mr. Su has also publicly denied engaging in such solicitation. The Guyana Elections Commission GCOM will from next Monday begin a long-awaited cycle of registration across the country. GCOM says the exercise will begin on March 7 and end on May 29. The Commission says this registration exercise is of crucial importance to those persons who would have been first-time applicants in the 40 years to 18 years age range that were captured during the 2019 house-to-house registration. Jacob says all those persons who had been registered for the first time in the 2019 house-to-house registration must note that their application for registration has been cancelled. The Commission says those persons are required to reapply for registration during this upcoming registration exercise. During this registration exercise, any person who will be 14 years and older by the 31st of October 2022 will be eligible. They must also be Guyanese citizens by birth, descent, naturalization, or citizens from Commonwealth countries living in Guyana for 1 year or more. They can apply for registration providing they have never registered before. Persons desirous of conducting any registration are requested to visit the GCOM registration office responsible for their area of residence with the relevant source documents, which are original birth certificate, valid passport, adoption certificate of naturalization, adoption certificate of naturalization in the case of making applications for new registration. Alternatively, they must walk with their original marriage certificate or deed poll with birth certificate in the case of applications for change of name. Existing registrants who are desirous of updating their records, such as a request to correct or change their names, date of birth, occupation, and update their addresses, are advised that those transactions would also be facilitated during this exercise. In increasing agriculture output and reducing the 15-nation Caribbean communities, CARICOM's food import bill have received a financing boost with the availability of a credit facility at Republic Bank. The credit facility, according to the government, will provide up to $2 billion Guyana dollars to Guyana and $100 million US to all CARICOM member states. They have up to 5 years to repay at interest rates as low as 2.5%. In a statement issued late Tuesday night, the Guyana government said President Irfan Ali reported to fellow CARICOM leaders at their midterm summit in Belize that concrete progress has been made in getting cash to invest in agriculture. Under the arrangement, Republic Bank will lend money to the CARICOM Sustainable Agriculture Credit Facility. Government says this is a special facility designed for agriculture activities, including but not limited to development of priority crops, capital equipment for farming, feeder roads to provide access to arable lands, bulk storage for crops, processing plants, and shade house farming. President Ali, who was responsible for agriculture in the quasi-CARICOM cabinet, told fellow leaders that the aim is to increase food production between 25% and 700% in order to significantly reduce food imports by 2025. He, however, says that could be possible only if each member state increases its spending in agriculture from 2.1% to 5% by 2025. The government says Guyana is committed to spending 10% of the national budget on agriculture by 2025. The Inter-American Development Bank's lab, called IDB Lab, an innovative laboratory of that Western Hemispheric institution, is providing financial support to STEM Guyana, Inc. to help 1,000 children across 40 communities in all 10 regions of the country. This support includes technology tools and supplementary learning in math, English, and science. IDB Lab is investing $950,000 in the 3-year program. Guyana's Learning Pods, supporting success in education for vulnerable children. The STEM Guyana pilot will expand the education model, which caters to children ages 7 to 15 from low-income and vulnerable communities. The IDB says that the pilot small groups of children in communities across Guyana access a connected learning platform at a local community center to foster STEM skills with the support of an in-person facilitator and an online teacher. Karen Abrams of STEM Guyana says the Learning Pods program provides for small class and person and tech-driven learning support for students who have been disadvantaged by the COVID pandemic, school closures, and also ensures the safety as the program makes available cleaning supplies, masks, and temperature checks to all enrolled students. Guyana's IDB Chief of Operations and Acting Country Representative Lorena Rosano Salazar says there is need for them to adapt and learn innovative technologies and the talents that says opportunities are increasing in Guyana and the demand for skills is rapidly changing. The Learning Pod program is expected to continue to better performance of all students and help reduce attrition from the school system. It targets 50% participation of girls. STEM Guyana expects a future expansion of the program to benefit as many as 5,000 vulnerable students over the life of the investment post-COVID-19. A 39-year-old man who was accused of domestic violence was early this morning arrested allegedly with several weapons in his possession. Police say he had a handgun in his waist and a cutlass and a small axe in his hands. He is hospitalized with a fractured skull. Police say he sustained injuries while violently threatening the woman and attempting to enter her premises by breaking windows. The woman from Buxton, East Coast of Marara, made the report at about 12:30 Wednesday morning. The Guyana Telephone and Telegraph Company GT&T says subscribers can now keep their existing landline numbers and use them as part of the fiber internet service. The company says that through its fiber Just Got Better, it is launching the fiber and voice service. This will allow residential customers to keep their existing landline number by bundling it with a high-speed fiber internet for $1,000 more. Currently, a landline customer pays a telephone rental of $750 plus charges for all calls. GTT's Chief Operating Officer Ishwar Takardin says the addition of fiber voice to GT&T fiber plans directly allows customers the option to keep their number while upgrading their copper technology to the more reliable fiber solution. Turning to news now from the Caribbean. In the Bahamas, authorities are cracking down on the tampering and forging of vaccination cards. Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville says a complaint has been made to police. He says a number of printeries are under suspicion.
We want all print companies who are producing cards, and if they are involved in this kind of activity, to stop immediately, because it was referred to the Royal Bahamas Police Force. It's a large amount, but what we have to do is we have to nip it in the butt right away, because a lot of people who may be doing it may not realize it's against the law to manipulate a card from a foreign jurisdiction and put the Commonwealth of the Bahamas seal on the card.
The Bahamas' Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville. The 15-nation Caribbean Community CARICOM has created another portfolio in its quasi-cabinet. It is called Industrial Production. Star News reports that Suriname has been given responsibility for this new area. The decision was taken at the CARICOM Summit, which wraps up today in Belize. Suriname is already responsible for gender, sport, culture, and youth in the CARICOM quasi-cabinet. At the regional summit, there was extensive discussion about the further creation of a single market and economy and the contribution of the various economic sectors, such as the agricultural sector and tourism. Due to the importance of strengthening production in CARICOM, partly in light of the recent international political and medical challenges, it is proposed that to add a policy area, industrial production, to the existing policy areas. Suriname has been nominated to take on the responsibility and to further guide the sub-region on this path by collecting data, analysis, and policy proposals to increase industrial production. In the coming weeks, the president of Suriname, Chandrika Prasad Santoki, will contact his colleagues as well as representatives of international and regional organizations and regional and national businesses to formulate an action plan. The plan will be presented in July during the regular meeting of CARICOM heads of government in Paramaribo, the capital of Suriname. In Antigua, a well-known educator has been found dead at a school. Details from ABS Radio.
There is shock across the education fraternity after principal of Temple Academy, Dinson Parker, was found dead in his office. The 71-year-old was reportedly found dead in his chair at the school in Grace Farm. Police are carrying out investigations. It is understood Parker reported feeling unwell. A post-mortem will determine the cause of death. Classes were suspended as the school reels from the sudden tragedy. Director of Education Claire Brown has been saddened by the loss of the veteran educator. He says the Education Ministry is examining ways of assisting the school in the short term. The private primary school has a student population of 40.
And now we go to the BBC World Service for the latest bulletin of international news.
Hello, I'm David Harper with the BBC News. An overwhelming majority of member countries at the United Nations General Assembly have voted to deplore the Russian invasion of Ukraine, calling for an immediate withdrawal. In the rare emergency session, only a handful of countries voted against the resolution, including Syria and North Korea. China and India abstained. After the vote, Ukraine's UN ambassador, Serhiy Kyslytsya, spoke to reporters.
The United Nations is still alive and going through the process of catharsis. Now, people of Ukraine have more reasons to believe in the United Nations. Don't think that it was the end in itself or a purpose in itself, the vote. It is just a beginning.
The mayor of the besieged city of Kharkiv in eastern Ukraine has said Russian shelling is inflicting heavy casualties on the civilian population. But he said the city would not fall to Vladimir Putin's invasion force. The mayor, Ihor Terekhov, told the BBC that shells and cruise missiles were hitting residential areas constantly. Further south, the port of Mariupol has been under sustained bombardment. Local officials say entire districts have been levelled. There are fears that hundreds of people may have been killed. The city of Chernihiv has also come under heavy Russian artillery fire. For the first time, Russia has given a figure for its military losses during the attack on Ukraine. The Defence Ministry said almost 500 Russian soldiers had been killed. It said just under 1,600 had been injured. Ukraine says Russian losses are far higher. Jonathan Marcus is a defence analyst based at Exeter University.
The numbers from either side can't really be treated as definitive in any sense. What I would say about the Russian numbers is from a position where they weren't giving out any statistics. They've now announced figures which are substantial. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Nearly 500 dead. The likelihood clearly is that it is significantly more. And so the mere fact that the Russians are admitting to that level of casualties is an indicator of the problems that they've been having and the strength of the Ukrainian resistance.
Ukraine says a delegation has left Kiev for a second round of peace talks on Thursday with representatives from Russia just across the border in Belarus. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said Moscow remains committed to the demilitarization of Ukraine. In Washington, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said he was keeping the door to diplomacy open.
I've been in virtually daily contact with my friend and counterpart, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Kuleba. And I've made clear that we'll support any diplomatic efforts by the Ukrainian government to reach a ceasefire and withdrawal of Russian forces. If there are diplomatic steps that we can take that the Ukrainian government believes would be helpful, we're prepared to take them, even as we continue to support Ukraine's ability to defend itself.
World News from the BBC. Roman Abramovich has confirmed he intends to sell Chelsea Football Club. The Russian billionaire has promised to donate the net proceeds of the sale to help victims of the war in Ukraine. It follows growing worldwide pressure for sanctions against Russian oligarchs close to President Vladimir Putin. Georgia has said it intends to apply for immediate membership of the European Union. The chairman of the Georgian Dream Party called on the EU to accept Georgia as a candidate. On Tuesday, the European Parliament backed Ukraine's application bid. From Tbilisi, here's Rehan Dimitri.
Irakli Kobahidze said the government was urgently preparing an application for EU candidate status to be submitted to Brussels on Thursday. He said a decision had been made because of the general political situation and a new reality. Since the Russian invasion started, there have been nightly street rallies held in the capital Tbilisi in solidarity with Ukraine, but also in anger at the Georgian government's decision not to join international sanctions against Russia. The Georgian government is under pressure from within the country to show that it remains committed to joining NATO and the EU.
In other news, the head of the UN nuclear watchdog has said his organisation will never abandon its efforts to get Iran to explain the previous presence of nuclear material at 4 undeclared sites there. Tehran has insisted that agreement on reviving the 2015 nuclear deal, which gave Iran sanctions relief in return for limiting its nuclear programme, will only be possible if the investigation is ended. A court in South Africa has ruled that the coronation of a prince in the Zulu royal family can go ahead, potentially ending a succession dispute. The judge said Misu Zulu Ka Zwelithini was undisputedly the heir to the throne. King Goodwill Zwelithini died in March last year, followed swiftly by the death of his wife, the interim regent. That's the latest. BBC News.
And that's the news to the moment.
On the go and need to grab a quick bite, but tired of the same dreary food? Well, KFC is here to brighten your day with a delicious, mouth-watering meal with their 9 convenient locations: Movie Town, Vlissingen Road, Mandela Avenue, Regent Street, Stabroek, Hink Street, Redenhoop, Parika, and the Amazonia Mall. Now open from 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. And they're there to welcome you every day. KFC.
It's finger licking good.
Now to end the news, a recap of the highlights. 2 men have been extradited to the United States to face trial for sex crimes they allegedly committed there. Jacob will next week begin registering persons who have never done so before and update the records of others. Regionally, the Bahamian police are going after printeries that are forging COVID vaccine cards. The news came to you with the compliments of Kentucky Fried Chicken KFC.
This has been the news, compiled in the News Talk Radio newsroom. For ongoing updates, visit demerarawaves.com, and you can check facebook.com/demwaves and twitter.com/demwaves.
The time in Guyana, 18 hours, 21.
For the toughest jobs, there's only one original motor oil, Valvoline, powering the world's heavy-duty engines in every corner of the world. You can trust the super protection of the original to keep your business moving forward. Valvoline, the original that never stops improving. Distributed by Swiss Machinery, Eccles Public Road. Telephone 233-3821 or 2495 or WhatsApp 691-1732.
Coming up at 18 hours 30, we'll be bringing you a discussion on Operation Recovery, getting children back into school. So stay with us.